Oh, that's what we're supposed to see. That's it.
Hello. I am Telishia Berry, publisher of Courageous Woman magazine, and this is Courageous Women Speak. Courageous Woman magazine is an inspirational publication that highlights extraordinary women. We also have courageous men and authors who launch. Today, we're going to be talking to Miss Melissa Dixon. Melissa is the founder and the host of The Big E, The Elephant in the Room, which is a 30-minute web series that talks about real, unspoken, and controversial issues in the church in order to make real change. So welcome, Miss.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this wonderful episode with Courageous Women and allowing us to speak candidly about the Big E, the elephant in the room. Again, my name is Melissa Dixon. I am the founder, executive director, and host of the Big E, the elephant in the room, that talks about critical as well as controversial topics that are really not really spoken about in the church. I thought it was actually necessary to really dive into this platform and to create something so we can be able to really start talking about and really start transforming our community, transforming our churches, and start getting away from those hidden secrets or closing our turning our back on issues that are really need to be able to help restore and heal individuals in our church and community. So some of the topics of the Big E that we talk about domestic violence, we talk about suicide awareness, we talk about sex trafficking. We also even talk about diving in even about relationships, about pastors' wives. How do they even deal with being a pastor's wife? We even talk about finance in the church. And we also even have a topic about pastors overcoming obstacles. Yes. That is something that we need to also talk about what really pastors are going through. What are they dealing with day to day, what they're going through, dealing with being in a leadership role and working with the congregation on a daily basis. So that really dives in a lot into our episodes. Yes, like we just had an intro here, and Telishia just indicated that we are actually in our 4th season. So we are striving and moving forward, and actually we're in preparation to even start recording for our 5th season in the next couple of months. So we are really diving into some great topics and really going head on to really be an impact and a difference to our community and our churches.
Awesome. I so appreciate you coming and sharing this. These are topics that, again, like you said, we need to talk about. And they're often very hush-hush, but we're going to talk about them today. And I appreciate you coming. So tell me, what really motivated you to go into this? I mean, this is something that we have been dealing with for generations, centuries.
Yes.
So what made you say, you know what, I want to talk about this?
Well, I was raised in the church, and I saw a lot of things growing up that individuals were going through. I saw individuals that were going through even some mental issues, that you maybe see throughout the church. They're trying to push the person out the church because they get, a little excited in the church, and instead of addressing it, they just push the person out the church. I even saw marital discord going on in the church that were really just shunned away or hidden and not spoken. And I always kept wondering, why isn't anyone ever really addressing this? Why isn't the church really sitting down with the community as a whole and the church community and saying, what can we do to be that backbone and that support to help people through critical as well as unspoken conversations? Because these individuals are going into church week after week, either if they're a Sabbath worshiper or a Sunday worshiper, and they go in and get filled with praise and worship and sermons. But when they walk out, they're still broken. They still have unresolved issues that are still not addressed because either they're afraid, they're worried about someone either saying something or criticizing them or looking at them differently. But the Big E is saying, we're here. We're going to start trying to have these conversations. to allow people to say, it's okay. It's okay to talk about it. And we can start the healing process here today.
Awesome. Now, was there any specifics or any scenarios that you may have experienced that really prompted you to say, you know what, I'm gonna tell this, you know what I mean? So was it anything that happened, to you specifically that you want to share?
Well, I know growing up as a young child, I saw actually a man coming in a church and then a woman, they were going back and forth and discording, they were arguing and fussing. And of course, you have the ushers and deacons trying to push everybody, go back inside, go back inside. And it was literally a man actually stepped out on his wife in the church, and they were discording and fighting in the church. And the easy way they handled it is they basically just told them they're not allowed to return back into the church. But no one asked them, do they need help? Does the woman need help? What happened? Why did this happen? Is there has to have some type of communication. And a lot of times I understand pastors, ministers, bishops, they don't like to get involved. They want to stay their ground and hold where they currently are, and they don't want to get involved in personal situations. But no one went to that wife or that woman and said, are you okay? Are you okay? Is there something going on, that we can help you with? Is the children okay? And that's another thing. The children, you don't know how the children were affected by seeing their parents going through this. So no one wanted to address it. They just pushed them out the church and told them not to return. So these little things that I saw growing up and building up over time and hearing conversations of what people are going through, we just felt like, yes, let's have these conversations. And also, I would like to also mention that we also have conversations about the LGBTQ community. We also even, we talk about that because a lot of times we feel love is love. God loves all. We can't be here to judge. We can't be here to turn our backs on, because not just that individual that is making a decision of their lifestyle. You have that parent or that mother, father that are sitting there trying to bring support to that loved one, but they don't know how, and they try to go to the church and the church turns their back on them because they don't want to address those issues. Now, not to say, let's just say not all churches do this, but a handful, majority more do turn away than they are due to support. So that's why we're trying to collectively try to bring this conversation and bring more support to the LGBT community. We did an episode about addiction. I've seen people come in drunk, high, or in a frenzy, just trying to cry out for help, and the church turns their back on them as well. So this is what we're trying to do, starting that communication, trying to really put an impact and say, let these churches know it is okay.
Absolutely. 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 I totally can relate to that. That is actually the basis of my first novel, The Baptist Junkie. And so it really relates to being shunned away from the church. I want to get off into that story, but that is, so I can totally relate to that. Growing up in the Baptist church, I saw people turned away from coming in the church because they had pants on. So yes, so I grew up in that era of church where more churches are now seeing that, they're losing people because they're not supporting all people and their illness or whatever they got going on that they need to support. So I appreciate your organization. So tell me a little bit about, specifically, are you helping other churches? Are you speaking? Tell me, what is the process and how can other people get involved with what you're doing?
So we actually, we have the web series, The Big E, The Elephant in the Room, but we also, with these conversations we're having, I realized we can't just keep talking about these conversations. We have to really start going out and really making a difference. So I actually established a nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit organization called the Big E, The Elephant in the Room Life Changers, Inc. Now, with the nonprofit organization, we are actually collectively working with individuals in the community to actually help fill in the gaps that are lacking support. So the Big E, the Elephant in the Room, Life Changers Inc. We also call it EITR, Life Changers Inc. We recently partnered with the Center of Hope Women of Children Shelter in Charlotte, North Carolina, as well as the Boys and Girls Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. The shelter, when I spoke to the director and I reached out to her, she actually informed me, she said it was amazing that we even wanted to find out where are the gaps, because a lot of individuals come and say, okay, we're going to give you canned goods, you need clothes, we'll volunteer. And she said they don't realize there's more than just volunteering canned goods and clothes. And she said, for me to say, where is the gaps? She said that was so unheard of for someone to actually reach out about that. So we partnered with this shelter, and right now we are in a drive of collecting queen sheets, twin sheets, blankets, towels, washcloths, and diapers. The reason for those specific items is because a lot of these women and children that come in, they're in a trauma situation and they come in with nothing. So they're in this shelter, they're given all these essentials and supplies to be able to maintain, be able to stay in the shelter. But when they're be able to get back on their feet, they take those supplies with them. So the shelter actually cannot keep up with the demand of the sheets, the towels and washcloths and toiletries, because the women and children are actually taking it with them when they leave the shelter. And a lot of people don't realize that that's a high need. That's a high critical need that this shelter really needs at this time. And we took on this project to really put emphasis to bring a daily support to them. And on the Boys and Girls Club side, they are actually the children that are part of this shelter. And so these are the children that are in the shelter that go to the schools locally, but they go to this after school program. And believe it or not, even though they're channeled under the shelter, they actually don't have after school items to play with: basketballs, baseballs, jump ropes, paint supplies. Those are a missing gap in this after school program. So we brought on and partnered with the Boys and Girls as well, and helping filling in those gaps. So we're really trying to make a difference. Thank goodness we can actually say there are a few outside supporters that really supported us. We really got support from Target, and we actually got support from BJ's. So they are working with us to help us bring in the supplies, some of the supplies that we need. But we are still in need because this shelter houses over 300 to 400 women and children. So we constantly are in a need and a demand for these items.
Awesome. So now you also have a book. I want to make sure we got to get a chance to talk about that. You're doing so many amazing things with your organization. I appreciate you so much. And we're going to make sure that we give that information on how people can support you and help. I wanted to just, real quick talk about your book. Tell us the title of the book and and when you launched the book.
So I launched the book in 2019. It's called The Voice Never Heard. This was actually a book that I self-published in honor of my father, Harold Stembar. My father passed July of 2018, and he always wanted to actually publish a book, but never had an opportunity to publish his poems. This is a collective poems going all the way back to the early 1960s. He was a former substance abuse counselor for Beth Israel Hospital for over 31 years in Harlem, New York. So he saw everything. There was not one thing that he didn't encounter, witness, or provide support to with his patients, clients, as well as his coworkers. So with his involvement daily and seeing the impact that was transpiring in the early 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s, he wrote poems about this. And he really dived into the essence of the community, into the traumas, and he even went and talked about what the nurses deal with every day. And he even talked about, in the poems, he even talked about our Black crisis of the traumas that we're dealing with, Black men and Black women. And it's, I just say it's very interesting, because even though he wrote these poems early 50s, 60s, and 70s, it still relates to today. So you can read the poem and still recognize that this is still relevant in our world today and what's going on. And he really put some straight emphasis to really help and heal people and hopefully encourage individuals. And I launched this the book actually in 2019. And I wish he was here to be able to know that I did this in his honor. But I wanted to just carry on his legacy, putting out this book, The Voice Never Heard.
Wow.
So it was something that it helped me in my healing process, even though he passed, but it helped also be able to allow his voice to be transcended around the world to others.
Now, where can they pick up the book?
Actually, right now, the book, they would have to actually, if they want to, you have to contact and email me directly. I did have it on Amazon, but due to the COVID transition for 2 years, I actually took it down from Amazon. But I actually, if anyone is interested, they can email me directly if they're interested in purchasing the book.
Okay. And how can I email you to get that book?
Big Elephant in Room at gmail.com. So Big Elephant in Room at gmail.com.
Awesome. We'll also have that information. You'll find that information in an article that will be posted with this interview on our website at courageouswomanmag.com. I have one more question. Yes. And I wanted to know what, with your organization, what would you right now say to ministry leaders, about what they can do to be more supportive in their churches to these issues that we're talking about today? What would you say to the church leaders?
I would actually tell the church leaders, continue to preach the word, never neglect what God is giving you, and preach the word, but also be still and listen, because there are a lot of individuals in your congregation, in your pews daily, that are crying out silently. And sometimes a lot of individuals don't want to address the pastors or ministers of leadership, but be able to take time out and be more transparent and supportive to your congregation and to your members, because there's someone, more than always, more than one in your congregation that needs help and support. And don't shun away from them, because this could be you. I always say, remember where we came from. You might be in leadership. God has given you that platform to speak the word, but remember the trials and tribulations you went through to get to that point, and be able to be that supportive, that witness, and be that advocate for that individual that might need help. This is why we have this platform, to be able to actually now be able to connect with churches and say, we need to start talking about this. We need to be able to start this healing process, because we are disciples of God, and God gave us these platforms to be able to spread the word and be a vessel and a witness and a testimony for someone. So be that testimony, be that witness, and please don't turn your back on God, because God always remember where we came from. He can always take it away from us too.
Awesome. And one more message. Yes. One more message to the people who may need your services or need help. They may have experienced, what we're talking about. They may experience church hurt. What is your advice?
I just tell everyone, if you are going through any traumas, any crisis, any situation that you feel neglected or feel that you don't have the right support, reach out to your local community outreach, either the addiction hotlines, suicide awareness hotlines, or even they have the sex trafficking hotlines. You can actually go to our YouTube channel. that has all of these recordings that talk candidly about these conversations and provides all the detailed information with the phone numbers and emails that you can reach out for any crisis hotlines that individuals might need help. So I always tell everyone in your local community, never feel ashamed if you need help. Always be able to either if that you know someone that needs help, be that support for that person, or if you are that individual that needs help, reach out to your local hotlines, crisis hotlines, because they're here to help and they'll be able to assist you in whatever resources that you possibly need.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Can you tell our audience where to contact you, where to tune in to the YouTube and all that good stuff?
So our episodes are actually available on YouTube. All of our episodes are on our YouTube channel, and it's at the Big E, the elephant in the room. It's again, the Big E, the elephant in the room. If you would like to support us on the nonprofit side of the EITR Life Changers Inc., you can actually go to our email to our website to EITR lifechangersinc.org. Again, our website for our nonprofit organization is EITR lifechangers.org. Or if you have any questions, concerns, or would like to volunteer with us, you can email us directly at bigelephantInroom@gmail.com. Again, it's bigelephantInroom@gmail.com.
Awesome. That information again will be posted on our website at courageouswomanmag.com. Thank you again, Miss Melissa Dixon, for joining us at Courageous Women Speak. We appreciate you and all that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Make sure that you all go to courageouswomanmag.com and keep listening, keep tuning in, and keep blessing us for being here, listening to these amazing, courageous women here at Courageous Woman Mag. Thank you.